We have finally made the connection between the front-end, back-end and the AI model for our face detection system. So let me begin by quickly showing you how all of this works. So if I open my DevTools right here and if I click, you can see here a red icon appears in Chrome, which means the camera is activated, and within 5 seconds an API call should be made. And 5 seconds because we are taking 5 different images of the user every 1 second. So yeah, we've made a call here, and as for the payload, we are sending 5 different files of the user, which is captured through the webcam. And as for the response, you can see here we have 5 different objects: the file name, user image, and the face ID for that image which we have provided to the backend. So this is what we've done so far. Let me quickly go over the changes which has been made from the last video. So let's go over to VS Code. So in my VS Code here, I have 3 instances of my terminal here: the front end, back end, and FastApi. In the last video, I showed you how to take a pull request and how to set this all up. So the only difference is probably the FastApi. So the biggest change in this video from the previous one is me changing from Flask to FastApi. So we'll go over that shortly. Let me just show you how we start our FastApi. So this is the command python 3 the mflag uvcon main :app -- reload. So if you hit enter, this starts the FastApi server, which I'll go over shortly. So let me start from the front end. So in the front end, we have this main file here called page.tsx. Again, everything is same from the first video. Face login, we have 2 components. All of this I go over in detail in the first video, part 1. So in the Rive canvas, the only different change which has been made is we have a state now called image files, and this image file stores all the images that have been captured by the webcam. So right here, again, I've gone over this, so I don't want to waste your time. So if there is a file, we just push it into the state, and this is a file type. Yeah, so in the use, there's a use effect now. So this is the new thing which was added. So in here, what we do is we check whether the image files dot length is equal to 5. So that means there is 5 different files in that image file state, which means we've captured the images that is being needed by the backend. And here, this is an API call. So API request. So if it's in the utils /api.ts file. So in here we put all our APIs right here. So in here, what we are doing is we are creating a custom access which is called FDS access. I just named it that way, and we give it the base URL, which is, if there is one in the env file, we use that, or else we use the one which we provide right here. So this is because we don't want to reiterate the same thing over and over again. So instead, we just define a base URL over here once, and then we can just put in the endpoint which we want to hit. So we have a post request called login with face ID, which is the express API endpoint. We are just console logging the data out for now. So in the upcoming videos, we probably will redirect the user somewhere else. But for now, this is what is happening in the front end. And I believe the other change which has been made is this. I can't recall whether I've explained this. So what's happening here is the image which is being collected by the webcam is of a URL type. So we just convert it into a file type and we send it to the backend. So here, this is the function which transforms that image source into a file type, and in the Rive canvas, we just push that file in here. So that's what's happening in the front end, and that's it for the front end. Let's go to the back end. So the back end also, I haven't made much changes here. So the main changes, rather than having the API routes here, we define one route which will contain the logic. So you could name this whatever you want. I chose to name it router for now. So here we define the prefix, which is API v1 versioning of our API, and then we have all our routes in this router folder right here. So router index.js. So if I go in here, this will contain all our routes. So say if this was a authentication router, we would define a auth route and have all the routes for authentication in one place, which gives us a better structure for our code. So we have just one endpoint, which is login with face ID, and again I've gone over this in the previous video, part 2 I believe. And we have a login controller, so this contains all the logic, the bread and butter of our route. So in here what is happening is, again we check if there is files coming in. If it's not there, we just say no files uploaded, error handling here. And probably this here what is happening is we call in the fast API endpoint, and all of these constants are in this constants folder right here. Yeah, so in here again, for now what we're doing is we're just collecting the data and sending it back to the front end. So in here in the upcoming videos we'll probably have the logic for storing that in a database. So again, this is new compared to the last video, which is whenever there is a file being uploaded, the Express puts it in this folder called uploads, and this logic right here, these line of code is the code that tells it, once there is a response from fast API, remove that from this folder, so that we just to save space, if you wanted to collect the images, or you wanted to put it in some kind of cloud storage like S3 bucket, you probably would do this a little bit different. You wouldn't want to remove it. But for now what we're doing is, once this endpoint is hit, the images are stored here for a short duration of time. We make a call to the fast API. Once we receive the data, we clear those images from this uploads folder. So then, okay, so that's it for the backend as well. I've not made much changes. So this folder is probably something very new compared to the last one, because last time we were using Flask, and now I decided to change it to fast API because one of the subscribers recommended me to do so, and after reading up on it, I believe it's much more faster than Flask, and it doesn't have a very large learning curve as well. So it made sense for me to use fast API, and it was fun because it was something new. I've never really tried fast API, and I kind of liked it as well. So in here what is happening is, so once we hit the Express endpoint, if you remember, the login.ts right here, if once we hit this endpoint, for a short duration of time, that images is being stored in this uploads folder, right? So what happens here is, Python refers to that uploads folder. So the logic is right here. It looks at this uploads folder, picks up the images and processes the images to get the face ID. So this is all the logic right here. So get image ID, and we get the image. We generate the unique face ID, and we put it into an image list right here. So that's basically it. And if you don't have a face ID, we just give a message saying no face found in any images, and if there is, we just send it to the back to Express, and Express sends it to the front end. So that's all I've done so far. And the reason this video is just the connection between the 3 different environments is because I was actually planning to put the logic for the database as well, but then the video would be a bit too long, as I've already changed from Flask to fast API, and I'm trying to make the videos a lot more shorter so that it's bite-sized information which can be easily processed, and I don't end up wasting your valuable time. So that's the reason why I chose to do this. And even if you're not genuinely curious about the project itself, like the face detection system, I know it's a bit generic, but I believe there is some value in going over how environments work and how you structure a mono repo, and I've tried to the best of my abilities to structure it like that. like how you would see in a production grade environment and how we use it professionally. So that's the main intention for recording these videos, because when I was first starting, I had no idea. For me, Next.js was it, like it was a full stack application, so that's it. But generally speaking, it doesn't go that way. In a professional context, you would generally have a lot more environments than just one Next.js. So if you're a front end developer, back end developer, it makes sense for you to know how different things work. So that's the main intention of recording these videos, and hopefully you derive some value from it. I'll see you all in the next video.